US banks have loaned $1 trillion to less regulated shadow banks. Now, what is a shadow bank? People have been saying shadow bank this, shadow bank that. It's really not as crazy of a word as you think. It's just hedge funds, right? Any insurers outside of the regular banking system is like a shadow bank, and many of them are hedge funds who also do loaning businesses. You also have smaller insurers. These types of investments from big banks wasn't a lot back in the old days. So now it's skyrocketing because America and many of its government and Federal Reserve guys all pretty much tell these big banks to stop making risky investments. They're like, sure, we won't do that, but we'll put some money in these shadow banks, which will do these risky investments for us. The amount of loans made by US banks to less regulated guys, it's hitting $1 trillion in January. This is the highest that we've ever seen. It's a 12% increase year over year. Now, it's still lower than the America's credit card debt, but it's far more than the auto loaning industry, which is pretty frightening. And if you look at this, it's one of the fastest growing areas of business for banks. And with high interest rates and with a really crazy market, not to mention with now the AI boom, we're seeing a lot of these big banks are like, we want to make a lot more money. We want to make some cash, so let's just stuff $1 trillion in this. I mean, nothing can go wrong, right? You already have a few more banks collapsing. Look at New York City Community Bank. They're taking a massive beating. Shares are down like 60, 70%. It's not looking so great. This is really worrisome because a lot of regulators don't really know what a lot of these shadow lenders are even doing. And if banks are not allowed to do risky investments like what these shadow lenders are doing, well, they could do the same risky investments by just giving the money to someone else to do it for them. And then when you look into stuff like this, the auto loan industry and the credit card delinquencies are spiking. Signs of cracks in the strong consumer markets. Look at this. It does make sense. It's really, really bubbly in around 2010. This is also when the real estate bubble popped. This is also when a lot of people start foreclosing. This is also a time when a lot of businesses are shutting down. And bam, look at the amount of people defaulting on their credit cards, defaulting on their cars, and the debt was ballooning like crazy. And then all the way to like the pandemic area, we finally got things stabilizing. Because during the pandemic, you couldn't really spend anything, and a lot of people weren't really buying anything. So like their debts were really low. And there weren't a lot of delinquencies because nobody was buying anything. And now with interest rates being super high, this is now climbing back up. And this is what's really worrisome, right? Because this line will probably be just as high as '08. And this is something that's very frightening considering that we already are having somewhat of an '08 moment from the commercial real estate property, which trillions of dollars now being wiped off pretty much monthly because many of these office buildings are genuinely worthless. I'm not joking when I tell you guys some of these buildings in Chicago, the Loop area, which is the good part, are selling for 80 to 90% off. I'm being legit. These prices are astronomically low than what people have purchased them a decade ago. And we look into this, America's debt is ballooning. We Americans love to spend every single day. Every stimmy check we got, we put it in products. And this is why consumerism is so strong, but there's also a dark side to it. When we spend so much money, now our credit card debt is at 1.13 trillion. Just a couple months ago, we just hit $1 trillion. Now we just added 0.13 trillion. Not looking so great. That's about 130 billion bucks. And now people are like, please pay off your credit card debt. Seems like people are literally just kicking the can down the road. And the amount of people doing buy now, pay later is ballooning. This is what's really frightening about this whole entire market, considering that the feds are like, you know what? Let's not do a rate cut in March. I think if they did a rate cut, it would have been okay. And if they don't do a rate cut in March, we're going to be seeing possibly a couple more banks collapsing. Delinquencies will be going up. And of course, just people being broke generally. And the cities aren't that great either, with some of the biggest cities in the U.S. like New York and Chicago actually facing budget deficits recently because of how much money they're spending on the migrant crisis. And it just seems like we're not really handling our money well at all. Just everyday Americans are just spending every single day. The buy now, pay later crap, yeah, it wasn't really that popular until now. And especially the millennials and Gen Zs, they're like, yeah, credit card debts, whatever. And we look at the signs of trouble, especially with the auto loan industry. I mean, we got so many people paying $1,000 per month on their car, and their insurance like $400 or $500. It's very expensive. I know personally one of my friends, dude only makes like $4,000 a month, but his car payment's about $1,500 with everything included. I mean, it's higher than the guy's rent. And that just kind of shows you something's wrong. And people are just buying very expensive things. Like people who just be having like $16, $17 jobs and buying like 2,000 TVs. I've seen that. And it's actually very popular. And with the Feds holding rates, this is a really, really frightening time. We're seeing a lot of cracks here. We're even seeing the banking collapse crisis coming back again. I mean, if you thought that was just a 2023 thing, think again. It's coming back strong. So let's see what happens. Trillions of dollars at risk now. And if you're not scared, you better be. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment below. And before we leave, check out the private Discord server, guys. Patreon link below with 7-day free trial. We have over 100 members on here, and our trades are pretty good. Like, look at this trade last week. One of our traders made about, 6 total signals with only 1 losing trade. The best trade that I pretty much followed was the AVGO calls, made over 100%. So check us out. We have several other traders, and see you later.